Greetings and salutations everyone, this is No Code Gaming, and I'd like to welcome you back to another Master Duel video, and I admittedly have caught the bug. That's right, I now have the Runick Ishizu bug. I believe the alternative name for this is Meta Sheep, but that's the thing, I was born in the year of the sheep, so might as well embrace that identity for myself. Anyways, what is Runick Ishizu slash Ishizu Runick? Well, in my opinion, it is one of the more interactive versions of the Runick deck. The reason being, as you can see from my current screen, there is no floodgate in sight. Yes, we do not play stun. We interact with our opponent. There is another person on the other side of this table, even though we're online. This metaphor got away from me. But anyways, so this is a more interactive version of the Runick playstyle, not centered around stuns, and is more centered around interacting with your opponent and actually setting up Omni Negates. But other than the standard Runick cards, we now have the new Ishizu cards, Kelbek, Agido, Mudora, and Keldo. These are very, very good cards as they are very interactive with the graveyard and help the mill strategy of Runick. We do not play stun, we play interactive Runick. So we interrupt our opponent's plays and we like sort of set up proper plays instead of relying on floodgates like There Can Only Be One or Rivalry of the Warlords, unlike some of our, let's say, less distinguished Runick brethren. Anyways, let's start with the Ishizu cards proper. We have Keldo, the Sacred Protector. Its effect is you can discard one other Earth Fairy monster, special summon this card from the hand, and then add a Exchange of Spirit or one card that mentions it, so any of the other Ishizu monsters in this deck can be searched out by Keldo on its special summon. And it has quick effect. You can banish this card from your field or GY, then target up to 3 cards in the GYs, or up to 5 if you have Exchange of Spirit is on your field or in your GY. Shuffle them back into the deck. So its main power is being able to search out and being able to disrupt graveyard plays, as well as some mill protection like I said. Next, we have Mudora, the Sword Oracle. This is basically the mirror to Keldo, and its effect is you can discard one other Earth Fairy monster. Sound familiar? Special summon this card from your hand, and then place one Gravekeeper's Trap from your deck face up into your spell and trap zone. This is really a non-effect for us because we are not running any Gravekeeper's Trap. Instead, we are using it for its secondary effect. You can banish this card from field or GY, then target up to 3 cards in any of the GYs and up to 5 if Exchange of Spirit is on your field or in your GY, shuffle them into the deck. So it's more graveyard disruption. And as you notice, this is the only Ishizu card that's currently not limited to 2 at the time of this video, so there you go. Its effect is not as strong, but it is a level 4 that can be special summoned from hand, and that is relevant as you will see from some of the replays. Next, we have Kelbek and Agido. These two are very core to the mill strategy for the Ishizu portion of the Runick deck. So, first off, Kelbek and Agido have the same effect when a card is sent from hand or deck to your opponent's GY. You can special summon this card, but that's where they diverge. Kelbek is able to bounce a special summon monster, and Agido is able to special summon a Earth Fairy from your GY. And yeah, you have quite a bit of Earth Fairies here, at least one Earth Fairy in this deck. But their secondary effect is where they really shine. If either of them are sent from hand or deck to your GY, you can mill 5 cards. So if you send Kelbek to the GY, say with the effect of Diviner of the Herald or with Foolish Burial, you can mill 5 cards. And if one of those 5 cards happen to be Agido, you can mill another 5 cards. That is a free mill 10 right there, and it's very, very potent. And of course, some relevance, Kelbek and Agido are both level 4s. As you will see from the extra deck, that is very useful. But let's get to the actual fairy support for this deck. Well, we have Herald of Orange Light. It's always nice to have a decent hand trap, and this interacts very well with Kelbek and Agido being able to trigger their mill effects when you discard Herald and one of these cards from hand. Next, we have Diviner of the Herald. This is basically just a foolish burial effect, sending either Agido or Kelbek from deck to GY in order to activate their mill effect. However, this also comes with the caveat of Diviner of the Herald is able to become a level 6 tuner, and then you can special summon a level 4 monster from your hand, preferably Agido or Kelbek or Mudora or Keldo, and then you can synchro into any of your level 10s. We have Barone and Sword Soul Supreme Sovereign. The reason why I have Supreme Sovereign, it interacts very well with Runick's banish effects. But let's get on with the Runick portion of the deck. We have 2 Runick Fountains. The reason why, when I was initially building this deck, I didn't have the UR points to make it, so feel free to replace this Terraforming with 1 more Runick Fountain if you're able to afford it. If not, feel free to continue running this Terraforming. Anyways, let's see here. We have Runick Tip. Always good to leave a tip for people, and this card is able to search out basically Runick Fountain or any of your other Runick spells. Very good card, and of course all the Runick quick spells are able to special summon a Runick monster from your extra deck onto your extra monster zone. Be wary of that. If you do not have an open space in your extra monster zone, you cannot special summon a Runick fusion monster. So next we have Runick Flashing Fire. This is removal and allowing you to mill 2. Runick Destruction, more back row removal, always nice to see. Runick Freezing Curse, this is a monster negate, always good to see. Runick Slumber, this is a destruction protection effect, yep. And then Runick Smiting Storm is basically, in my opinion, a finisher, because all the Runick cards have the caveat of your opponent needs to have the exact number of cards or more in order to activate its effect. So let's say we activate Runick Freezing Curses. We actually can't activate its first effect if the opponent has 2 or less cards in their deck. That's why Smiting Storm is very good for your actual milling finisher, as it allows you to mill up to a specific number instead of having the requirement of, hey, you need to mill 3. So be wary of your opponent's deck count, because that actually limits what effects we can activate. So good to know that Runick at least should know how to count in order to play properly. But this game also requires you to read properly, and that has been proven by me to not be necessarily needed, but very much helpful. Anyways, we have Runick Smiting Storm, we just did that, and Runick Golden Droplet. This card forces your opponent to draw and then mill 4 cards, so basically it's a mill 5 technically. And the last Runick card, we have Runick Dispelling. So if your opponent draws, you can discard 1 card from their hand, very good effect most of the time, and then mill 2 into the banish zone. So that is what you have for the Runick cards in the main deck. Now for the flex spots, we have 3 flex spots. You can replace these with anything you want. I went with Dark Ruler No More in order to counter Sprite, because Dark Ruler No More is actually pretty good against Sprite, and we don't really care about battle damage as this deck is mainly focused on milling. And the last 2 spots are 2 Triple Tactic Talents. Very good card if your opponent is playing like monster heavy decks that have like lots of monster negates, so Triple Tactic Talent's very good. If you wish to replace these, I suggest using cards like maybe adding 1 more Dark Ruler No More if you're encountering a lot of monster heavy decks, and maybe 1 Harpie's Feather Duster or Lightning Storm for some back row removal, as this deck has like 2 main ones, but it has a caveat of your opponent needs 4 cards in their deck at least in order to activate it. Anyways, that's the main deck proper. Let's get on with the extra deck. We have 3 Hugin the Runick Wings. This card allows you to discard 1 card and then search out your field spell. Runick Fountain, very good. And it also has the ability of being able to prevent the destruction of cards by banishing itself in order to prevent destruction, so very good. Next we have Munin the Runick Wings. This card is more of a stall oriented card. Every end phase, you gain 1000 life points, and additionally, if one of your runic cards gets targeted by a monster effect, you can sacrifice Munin in order to negate that effect. We have Elder Entity Entis. This is here to interact with Diviner of the Herald. If there's no good targets in the main deck, Entis is your next best target, as this card allows you to destroy a card on the field without much cost, and it has the bonus effect of making Diviner level 6, so having 1 or 2 Entis in your extra deck is recommended. Next we have Geri the Runick Fangs. This card is very, very good at stalling, as it allows you to first off return a Runick Fountain from GY to hand if a Runick Fountain ends up in your graveyard. And additionally, it cannot be destroyed by card effects. And if it's destroyed via battle, you can destroy 1 card on the field. Very good. Next, we have Herald of Arclight. You can make it with Diviner or Herald of Orange Light plus Hugin if you really want to make this card. And its effect is any monster sent from hand or main deck to the GY is banished instead, so very, very good floodgate there. And next, when a spell, trap, or monster card is activated, you contribute it and negate that activation. Lastly, if this card is sent to the GY, you can add 1 ritual monster or ritual spell from your deck to your hand. We are not running that things, so we're really only here for the first 2 effects, and it's a fodder or Diviner of the Herald. Next, we have Coral Dragon. This is also a flex spot. Feel free to replace this with any level 6 that you find good. But basically, this card is just like Destruction. And yeah, and it has a floating effect of being able to draw. Next, we have Ravenous Croco Dragon Archithithis. That gains 500 attack and defense for each card in your hand, and you can only use each of the following effects of Ravenous once per turn. If this card is synchro summoned, you can draw cards equal to the number of non-tuners. So at most, I believe that would be 3, 2, that's 5, and a 4. The most you can draw is 2. And that specific combination is like Munin, one of your 2 tuners plus a level 4 from your main deck. So hey, draw 2 is always nice, and then you can quick effect, you can discard 2 cards, then target 1 card on the field and destroy it. But yeah, Baron de Flor, always a good card. Omni Negate, and once per turn, destroy effect. And Sword Soul Supreme Sovereign, it is a very much a beat stick, and it actually interacts well with both Keldo and Mudora, as you can banish a Keldo or Mudora from your GY in order to shuffle 3 cards back from any GY to the deck. And here's the thing, Supreme Sovereign, when any card is banished, so basically playing any Runick card or using Mudora or Keldo, you're able to banish 2 cards, 1 card on your opponent's side of the field and 1 card in their GY, so very, very strong card. Next, a stall card. We have number 41, Babuska, the Terribly Tired Tapir. Very, very much a stall card, as if it's in defense mode, your opponent is forced to make cards go into defense mode, and cards in defense mode cannot activate their effects. And next, we have number 60, Dugaris the Timeless. This is basically here just for the draw 2 effects. And lastly, we have Sprite Elf. The reason I'm running Sprite Elf is next Sprite Elf. The reason I use Sprite Elf is you can actually use this to bring back a Diviner in order to activate its effect again, send Agido or Kelbek from deck to GY, and then get another mill 5 or mill 10 depending on your luck. So Sprite Elf is just here to interact with your opponent during their turn. Anyways, that's the deck proper. Let's get on with the replays, shall we? And here we are with the first replay. We are going first, so let's get to it. Activate Runick Fountain. Runick Tip to get another card, in this case Flashing Fire, just to disrupt your opponent's monsters. We also have Freezing Curse as another monster disruption. And yeah. Gonna set a called by and end the turn. So with this, we see that they have a reinforcements of the army. So it's probably a warrior deck. In this case, it is most likely a Sky Striker deck because reinforcements of the army is key to that deck. It's going to set a Called by the Grave and pass the turn. So Sky Striker Ace, yep. Knew it was a Sky Striker deck. Luckily, we Called by the Grave so they're not able to bring out another card. So bye-bye to that. But apparently they have some tech. Darkest Diablos, Lord of the Lair. I bring out a Runick Flashing Fire just to make sure that I have Geri in order to protect my cards. Unfortunately, I'm a bit, let's say, not very smart. And yeah, I pop my own Runick Fountain because Darkest Diablos has target protection, so I can't destroy it with Geri's effect. So read your cards, people. But fortunately, I got Diviner. And now we can combo off. So this is generally the opening combo for this deck. Normal Summon Diviner. We will be sending a key. Never mind, we are not. Yeah. So unfortunately, Diviner doesn't work. Or does it? Because we have Herald of the Orange Light. So then Herald negates Effect Veiler and we send a Kelbek to the GY. We then use Diviner's effect to send an Agido. And then that is a free mill 10. So Kelbek activates, Agido activates, and that is a mill 10. And even our opponent's playing Floodgates. So mill 10. I was luckily able to get a Runick Fountain. I then will summon a level 4, 4 and a 6, make a 10. This is the other reason why we play Kelbek and Agido. Because we mill our cards, it's almost guaranteed that we have 3 Runick cards in our graveyard in order to shuffle and draw 3. So very, very good synergy there. Turn 3, draw 3, get the Runick Fountain back in hand, and then we will synchro into Chen Ying. The reason being, Mudora activates, gets banished. I'll shuffle 3 back, and then because a card gets banished, I can banish 2 cards. And of course, battle phase is skipped because of Runick cards. And yeah, it basically just stays like this for a bit. Send a Kelbek to mill 5. Agido activates. I can mill 10 again. Or yeah, I can mill 5. Shuffle back my Geris. And yeah, this is basically the deck at work. So there we get free mill 5, and then of course Chen Ying activates again because I banished that Mudora. Then attack for 30 something, for 4,300. Pass the turn. Yep, multi-roll. This is fine. It's because I Runick Golden Droplet, forcing them to draw a card. And then mill 4. Shuffle 3 back. Like I said, Agido and Kelbek very, very strong. Runick Destruction this. So they can't get that free mill. And they have 3 cards left. Yep, Kagari. Then I Flashing Fire the Kagari. Oh, no, never mind. I Herald in order to negate the Kagari. And there you go. Opponent has 3. Attack me for 2,500. That's a non-issue right now. Because I get Chen Ying back. And I can also mill again. And then I mail their last two, and I have the courtesy to pass the turn here and not delay. And that is game. Opponent goes to the Shadow Realm. As you see, this deck is very much a... it's very cohesive. However, you need to have Runick Fountain. If you do not have Runick Fountain, your cards might be dead in hand, so protect your Runick Fountain at all costs. And here we are with the second replay. We are going first, and we can show you the normal combo. Norm Summon Diviner. Send a Kelbek. Kelbek mills 5. No Agido, so we are Will Foolish in Agido. We mill another 5. Then we are going to activate Smiting Storm in order to special summon a Hugin. In order to search out a Runick Fountain. Runick Fountain, and then we will go into Sprite Elf. The reason why I pick Sprite Elf is it can be used to call back Diviner in order to send another one of our mill cards to the GY, and then we can continue to mill from there. Pass the turn. After I activate this. So with that, the cool thing about Runick is you can actually get information from playing the cards. So shuffle 3 back, draw 3, and turn. And I was lucky with getting a Herald of Orange Light and a Fairy monster, so I have a Monster Disruption and a Spell and Trap removal for next turn. Yep. So here's a misconception. Because this technically doesn't count as fusion summoning, you can't use Sprite Elf to bring back Hugin, at least from what I've seen. So instead, I brought back Herald in order to mill more cards. But they call back. But in order to protect that Herald effect, just in case I get another one next turn, I'll shuffle 3 back. So yeah. Bye-bye Runick Fountain. So they go off, swap frog. I activate Herald of Orange Light, get rid of that. And then they try to activate a Ronin Totem. However, I activate a Keldo in order to interrupt that. And then I shuffle 2 keycards back. Set and pass. I can't really do much, so I'm just going to bring back a Herald of Orange Light, but they infinite imperm. That was baited. It's because I have no Link 3, so if you want, feel free to add a Link 3 to this deck. That's good, so like a unicorn or something. So they have Opening of the Spirit, which I think is only for that, which is quite odd. Yeah, this was a weird replay. So destroy, mill 4, bring back Herald. Like, I don't really have any cards for Herald. Then they change into Dark Law. And Dark Law is actually quite bad for our deck, as destroying things not very good. But I have the ability, so I will use Golden Droplet to bring out a Geri. And then I will synchro these two. However, I forgot that in this replay I draw a Kelbek. So summon Kelbek. I now have 10 in order to bring out a Chen Ying. Activate Mudora's effect. And they concede. And yeah. Easy replay. A lot of misplays on my part, admittedly, because I was still learning the deck. See you in the next replay. And the last replay, we are going second against Runick Stun of all decks. So they actually sort of fell for it. Pot of Desires. Hey, that's a free 10 mil. I'm not going to say no to that. Yep, it's a Runick deck. Then they bring out a Hugin. And then they draw one. And they get a fountain out of this. Yeah, 35, 22. That Pot of Desires just... Or no. Is it Pot of Avarice? Yeah, that Pot of Desires sort of screwed them over. So Agido, mill 5. Summon Agido, but they activate there can only be one. So it is a stun Runick deck, everyone. Yay. Destroy this. Then they... Yeah, they have Rivalry plus there can only be one. Yay. This BS. And of course, they have a Runick Destruction, and because of there can only be one and Rivalry of the Warlords, I can't summon anything else. Yay! Goddamn, I hate Runick Stun. That's why I don't play it. Yes, I have my I've played stun decks, but I don't play Runick Stun because it's like, oh, gosh. They have 9 cards left out of 27. I will be able to outmill them. I'm gonna fast forward because it's just basically pass turn, pass turn, pass turn for the next few turns. So, yep, Inspector Border, they can't play or they can't attack because they activated a Runick spell last turn. Yep. They have 7, I have 24. I'll just set things in defense and pass the turn. And because these are technically normal summoned, they can't destroy it using that one Runick card. Yay, normal summon. Go ahead, keep removing cards from your deck. It's just gonna be this for the next few turns. Just pass turn. Yep, they have to kill me in 5. I don't think they can. And be destroyed. And then I just sit on this. The reason why I don't play Runick is that I know they have the Runick destroy spell trap in hand most likely. So I'm just gonna keep this in the back. If you don't interact with Runick, they have nothing that they can target with. So they're just gonna try to mill me in whatever way possible. They have to win in 3 turns. Yep. Battle phase skipped. You have 3 turns to kill me. I'm not gonna do anything. It's the power of doing nothing.
I'm going to do nothing.
Yep, go ahead. Yep, you have 2 cards in deck. I have 8. And I was lucky enough to draw a Smiting Storm, which allows me to mill exactly 2 off their deck. And yeah, screw you, Runick Stun. So yeah, that's the deck proper. I would probably rate this deck at least like 7 out of 10. It can get wins and it can mill opponents. However, I had a few games where my hand was pretty much starved for cards, so I can really get off and like destroy my opponents. But I'm really liking the interactive nature of this version of Runick, as it actually forces your opponent, as it actually forces you to think about what cards to play and how to play them, and doesn't heavily rely on floodgates. I just don't like floodgates. But anyways, Like if you like the video, subscribe if you so desire, and have a great rest of your day. And as usual, this deck list will be in the description below. Have fun.